All right, so Narada Bhakti Sutra, and we are not going to start any new chanting. What we shall do today, we shall chant two chants from the peace chants. Okay, Sahana Bhavatu and Madhuvata Vitayate. Okay, I shall share the screen, then we shall chant together. Peace chant 1, which we all know. Okay. Om, may the Supreme Spirit protect us. May the Supreme Spirit nourish us. May we work together with great energy. May our study be vigorous and fruitful. May love and harmony dwell amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Just chant together. This is easy one. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvina Vadhitam Astu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Then peace chant 5. Sweet blow the winds, and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the herbs and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us be the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessing. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us be the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us be the shining sun. Sweet unto us be all living creation. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Madhuvata Ritayate Madhu Sharanti Sindhavaha Madhi Nas Santo Sadhihi Madhu Naktam Utoshasi Madhumat Parthivagam Rajaha Madhudaur Astuna Pita Madhu Mano Banaspatir Madhu Magam Astu Suryaha Madhir Gabo Bhavantu Naha. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shanti. So we are studying Narada Bhakti Sutras, and here after 2 weeks, so let me give a very brief outlook how much we have studied so far. So Narada started first giving a definition of bhakti, and he started with para bhakti, the supreme devotion, which is the goal. He said about that it can be understood through some characteristics. Those who have that kind of ecstatic love, they show some characteristics, such as they become ecstatic. They does not want anything more after having this para bhakti, supreme love. Then he went on to speak about different types, different styles of bhakti, how bhakti expresses itself. For some, it may be worship. For some, it is, praise of Lord. But according to Narada, bhakti means complete surrender to God, remembering God all the time and feeling a sense of separation if one forgets. That was the first chapter. Second chapter was Narada wanted to show that why bhakti is superior to other paths. All the paths, it is superior, easier to follow. Then third one, which we are into, he started out with what are the practices that will take us to that stage of Parabhakti, supreme devotion. He said a few practices. One is that how to restrain from hankering and attachment to things. Then Abhyabrita Bhajanat, uninterrupted worship, prayer to God. Then singing God's glory and listening, reading divine text. But most important is company of right type of people, the community of other holy people. That is the most important thing. And he went on, dedicated a few aphorisms on that. What is the benefit of having such holy company? That holy company is, first of all, yes, difficult to get, but once we get it, once we get such a company, such a community, its effect on us is infallible, and it works without our understanding. We later on find that how much we have benefited from such a community. Then he said, in the same way, as holy company influences us, takes us towards God, company, there could be also company which takes us away from God. So keep away from them. Then he introduced a new topic, which is, of course, not a new topic at all, which is summarization of all the spiritual practices. He asked in the previous aphorism 46, who crosses over Maya? Who crosses over Maya? And he said, three qualities. One, who can keep away from the company of things or people who take us away from God. Then what else was there? And those who keep company of holy people, and those who can give up their selfishness and egotism, rather tries to establish one's relationship with God. They can cross over Maya. So Maya is a concept which comes across in every yoga. In the context of bhakti, devotion, Maya means the separation between me and God. Anything that separates me from me and God is Maya. The obstacles, the veil that separates me and God is Maya. That is why he asked the question, who can cross over this Maya? He spoke three practices in aphorism 46. In 47, he will speak about four practices. And in next two aphorisms, he will speak more 5 practices. So altogether, we shall get 12 practices. 3, 4, 7, 5, 12. But they are not watertight. There is overlapping between the practices. But he is saying from different perspectives. If we look at them, they boils down to a few things. But he is mentioning it from different angles. So in aphorism 47, he speaks about who crosses over Maya. He says those who do these things, follow these things, cross over Maya. That is, can reach God, can have that kind of parabhakti. By way of saying that, he is mentioning or trying to drive home the point that those who are seekers in the path of bhakti should practice these qualities. Okay, what are those 4 qualities? Let us have a look in the aphorism. Aphorism 47 is a long one. Yo vivikta sthanam sevate, yo lokabandham unmulayati, Nistraigunyo bhavati yoga shemam tyajati. Very important. All the 4 practices we shall see uh, profound practices. So first read it out together. Okay. Yo vivikta sthanam sevati. Yo lokabandham unmulayati. Nistraigunyo bhavati yoga shemam tyajati. Of course, we shall see that this continuation of aphorism 46. Okay. Yo means one who, sevate, resorts to, vivikta sthanam, a solitary place. Yo, one who, unmulayati, uproots, loka bandham, worldly attachments. Interesting. Mula means root, and unmula means uproots. And in English too, see, unmulayati, undo. Well, loka bandham, worldly attachments. Then trigunna means, 3 gunas. Nistraigunna means beyond 3 gunas. Nistraigunyo bhavati, that is one who transcends the 3 gunas. We shall have a look at them later on. And tyajati, gives up efforts for yoga shemam, gives up efforts for acquiring and preservation. So the term yoga shema is also interesting. We shall see later on of the class. So who does crossover Maya? It was asked in Aphorism 46. So it goes on. One who resorts to a solitary place, one who uproots worldly attachments, transcends the 3 gunas, gives up efforts for acquiring and preservation. They cross over Maya. Okay. What do all these things mean? Okay. As I said, this aphorism and also the next 2 aphorisms are continuation of the aphorism 46. The topic is who crosses over the barrier that separates me from God or from spiritual ideal. We saw 3 practices were mentioned in the previous aphorism. In this aphorism, Narada says 4 practices, one who practices 4 aphorism. So why 4 practices? Because there are many obstacles for uninterrupted devotion to God. And here, Narada is speaking about 4 antidotes for 4 obstacles. First obstacle is we are surrounded by other people. So even if we want to devote time to God or spiritual practices, it may not be possible. We are surrounded by other people. We may be surrounded by other people. Second obstacle, we have many other social obligations. We have our mind to many other things. We are distracted by many other obligations and duties and things. Third, and this is also very easily we can see it, our mood is not conducive sometimes. Okay, we want, but at the same time, we are not feeling that we are in a mood for spiritual practices. Okay, communion, whatever we say, meditation. Fourth, our time and energy are spent in pursuit of acquiring things and preserving them. So we may not find enough time for spiritual practices. These are the obstacles. And Narada says 4 practices are antidotes for these 4 obstacles. First, vivikta sthanam sevate. Vivikta means a solitary. Sthanam means place. Sevate means resorts to. That is, one who likes to go to solitary place. Solitude. So, value of solitude in spiritual life is undeniable. We see all the spiritual seekers, masters speak about solitude. Sri Ramakrishna often used to say that those who are engaged with the world have many engagements. Once in a while should go to solitude where they can uninterruptedly or one-pointedly devote their mind to their spiritual practices. That's why we see nowadays the retreats, mindfulness retreats, vipassana retreats are becoming increasingly popular. 1-day retreat, 2-day retreat, 3-day, even 7-day retreats. And people are paying huge amount of money to go for these retreats. And at first they are finding this solitude is painful, very painful. But once they get adjusted to that solitude, then they find the value of the solitude. Their mind become much more clear. They can think much more clearly. Even, one of the most influential writers or thinkers now, Yuval Noah Harari, who wrote the bestseller Homo Sapiens. He is the one who daily practices meditation. 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, or maybe 2 hours in the morning. And probably he takes 2 months of retreat, solitude, where he only meditates. He says that all his clarity of thinking comes from retreat. So value of retreat is undeniable. Bhagavad Gita also we see in Find, chapter 18, essential qualities of a spiritual seeker. We find the term vivikta sevi, one who resorts to solitude. So the point is away from distraction. Question is, why solitude? Why in bhakti solitude is necessary? So if we look at our lives, we are either with other people or with newspaper or movie, internet, books. We are hardly ever really alone. And when we are all of these things, we are being influenced by all of these things. All are influencing us, whatever we are engaged with. And solitude means away from all these distractions. Why? To foster intimacy with God. To foster intimacy with God, where there will be no other distraction, no other occupation, but only with my spiritual ideal. That is solitude. And mostly, as I said, when we are alone, then we can find where our heart is. What kind of thoughts are predominant in our mind? Only then we can sincerely start from where we are. At other times, it is difficult to find that what really we want. We can know that what are the thoughts and motivations which are, uh, rising again and again in my mind, and which really keep me away from my spiritual ideal. So that is the value of solitude. That is the value of solitude. How often we should take solitude? For the busy ones who are always in activity, cannot have solitude as such, once in a while. Once in a while. Point is, we have to seek this solitude when I shall be alone with God. And for those who already have solitude, suppose who live alone, then once in a while it should be intentional. Okay, that today, during this period, if I shall be totally dedicated to being only with God, only with God, no other things. Mobile phone off, internet off, okay, away from everything. So that is, as much as we can afford to have it, better it is. And if it is not possible to have solitude, if we live in a surrounding, in a place where solitude is not possible at all, then we have to think about this inner solitude. Even in the midst of everybody, can we keep our mind? Can we be within ourselves, connected to our spiritual ideal? So that is inner solitude. So solitude, the catchword of solitude or watchword of solitude is where we are alone but not lonely. We are alone but not lonely. We are in the presence of God or whatever our spiritual ideal is. That is solitude. Second practice is lokabandham unmulayati, one who uproots worldly attachments. Loka means world, bandham means bondages, that is attachments, and unmula means uprooting. So if we see that at our life, if we look deeply, we shall see that many a times we are either being pushed or being pulled by other forces. Okay. We are not free. We are not free from those forces. And those forces are mainly our attachment to many things which are outside of us. So these attachments are distractions for bhakta, because bhakta is a devotee is trying to develop their attachment only with the divine. That is why these lokabandham, these worldly attachments, are impediments in the path of bhakti. Then how to uproot them? Being with everyone, everything, but not being too much concerned with them. Just be concerned as much as it is needed. Okay. By placing highest value to spiritual goal or God, one can overcome attachment to other worldly attachments. Sri Ramakrishna gave the example of maid servant. Okay, that a maid servant who lives in her master's house, away from her own house, away from her own village house, she comes to the city and living in a big household. And gradually she says, she identifies, she says, this is my, my hari. I mean, all the children, She says that this is my John, my this, my that, but in her hearts of hearts, she knows none of them really belongs to me. So Sri Ramakrishna says a devotee of God would be in everything, in the midst of everything, in the family, and when they are in that surrounding, they should do everything that is necessary, whatever is asked as a duty or responsibility. But at the same time, at the heart of our hearts, they should know that all these things belong to God alone. God alone. If one can keep even a faint or even some idea of this, that these are not mine, okay, all these things belong to God, or all those things are just coincidentally with me, then one can gradually go beyond these attachments. Of course, it is not an easy thing. It is not an easy thing because we even don't know things we are attached to. But introspection helps. And that is why introspection, solitude is necessary. Then we understand where our attachments lies. What are the things we are attached to? I mean, they may not need me, but I am thinking that it needs me. It needs my attention. So in introspection, we may ask these questions that is it absolutely necessary for me, my involvement into that, or the way I am worrying about the things? Then we will find that at many things, our involvement is not as much necessary as we are thinking. Okay. So one who goes beyond attachment, then they can, without distraction, give their full attention to God or their spiritual goal. Then third is one who transcends the three gunas. So these three gunas, many of us know that this is a unique idea of Vedanta, that whole nature are made up of three metaphysical entities called Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So they are not something that can be seen or touched, but their presence can be felt through some indication. And our mind is also have this Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas in us. So mind also is influenced by three gunas. Bhagavad Gita says that these three qualities or three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, bind us through in our body, being to the body. That is, we are not free. These gunas influence our moods. Okay. So how they yes, I'm telling. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva is transparent, something transparent, clear, pure. Okay, suppose when our mind is clear and we are thinking very clearly, and transparent mind, lucid mind, illumined mind, that is Sattva. Rajas is dynamic activity. We are feeling for, we have to restless, we have to do this, we have to do that. Okay. And Tamas is when we are lazy, we are feeling sleepy, we have no enthusiasm. That is tamas. Okay, darkness. Tamas means darkness. Raja is has come from the word raj, that is which attaches us, which makes us hanker for something, which makes us hanker. That is rajas. And sattva means lucid, clear. So all of them binds us. Okay, how? The tamas binds us through inadvertence, laziness, and sleep. So when tamas is predominant in us, our mood is lazy, sleepy, lacking enthusiasm. When rajas is dominating our mind, so one of the things about the three gunas is that none of them remain stable. They keep on changing. That is, sometimes rajas becomes predominant, sometimes tamas, sometimes sattva. When rajas is predominant, then we are more given into action. We feel like we have to do. And so sometimes, time we feel like we should, we know we wanted to do spiritual practice, but we feel like, no, let me do this. What is happening there? Okay, restlessness. Time is there, everything is there, but mind is restless about other things. That is rajas. Sometimes I am not feeling lethargic for spiritual practices. That is tamas. And sattva is good, very good. Sattva is the one that will take us to the goal, but sattva also binds. How? Guna sangha, sattva binds through happiness, attachment to happiness, attachment to knowledge. That is even innocent happiness, beauty, taking pleasure in beauty, art, music. These are all good things. Okay, but these are also ultimately bondage. Then attachment to knowledge in the sense of secular knowledge. Okay, the desire to know or learn more and more, read more and more. Okay, many times it happens that, suppose I think I should meditate, but I think, no, let me read this book. This book is so interesting. So in our monasteries, especially in our training center, we were told again and again that reading is not a substitute for meditation. Okay, so when it is time for meditate or our other spiritual practices, you need to do that. Reading is not a substitute for meditation. So that sattva is very good, very good. That is such a pure thing, but that ultimately binds us down. That is how they are detrimental. The three gunas influence our moods. That's how they bind us. Sometimes we may not feel like thinking of God, either due to laziness or due to unnecessary activity or due to our inclination for even pure joys, innocent joys like reading. But these are all moods. Okay, so they also binds us. Then how to transcend the gunas? No matter what the mood is, do your regular spiritual practice. Whatever you have decided you will do it. Then you will see mood will not be able to affect us. In fact, they say the sign of spiritual progress is, one of the signs of spiritual progress is not being affected by moods. Not being affected by moods too much. And the more we progress in spiritual life, the less we shall be influenced by our moods. Of course, moods will influence us. We cannot go beyond our body and mind, but the influence will be less and less. Okay, one who can go, then these things they will not be influenced by their moods and can uninterruptedly give their time to God. Fourth practice is one who gives up efforts for acquisition and preservation. Tyajati gives up yoga and shema. Yoga here means to get something which we don't have. Okay, is something, say a particular book, a table I don't have, I am trying to get it. And shema means preservation, maintaining what we have. And this, even Bhagavad Gita says that, Bhagavad Gita uses the term yogakshemam. We shall come to that in a moment. So to acquire and to preserve. So why it is an obstacle for bhakti? Because to acquire and to preserve, we need to spend our time, attention, energy. Actually, this is what making the whole world moving. People are, whole point of economy is this: make people want more, and when they have it, preserve it, how to maintain it. But we have limited time and energy. So time and energy spent in acquiring and preserving will be less available for spiritual pursuit. So what should we do? Try to focus on only the essential things that we need, and not to clutter our life with things. Because the more we buy, the more time and energy we have to give to maintain those things. In other words, make life simple. Make life simple. And in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 22, Sri Krishna, the Lord, assures the devotee that one who has devoted to me, who has one-pointed devotion to me, one who has surrendered to me, I take care of their yoga and shema. That is, I arrange for securing what they lack and preserving what they have. This is a very mysterious thing. There's those who depend upon God for everything, or even a devotee who is sincerely pursuing spiritual path or trying to love God. Many things, what they need, are mysteriously provided by nature, by God. God somehow fulfills those needs. Okay, example, Sri Ramakrishna's life, we find many examples are there. So when he was a seeker, spiritual seeker, and for spiritual practice, he wanted to make a fence in the Dakhineshwar. He wanted to make a fence around a small grove of trees so that he can meditate there uninterruptedly. What happened? Where shall he get the stakes from? The next day, we find that in the Ganges come floating stakes, wooden stakes or sticks, and they came floating and got stuck in the stepping stones. So Sri Ramakrishna found them, brought them, and made the fence. So this is, if we just look at even in our life, that if we see that if we are trying to, devote our time for God, God really takes care of us. Takes care. I can narrate the story of one of our Swamis. Okay, he went on for circumambulation of a river in central India called Narmada. Many people do it. So barefoot, they circumambulate the river from its origin to its confluence. And they do it full circle. So it takes 1 year. It takes 1 year of walking and not having anything, just walking by. It's a pilgrimage and it's a tapas. So many spiritual seekers do that. This Swami, when he was very young, went on for this circumambulation and finished it in a year. So he said that throughout his this circumambulation, and the area is very tough area, very tough, through forest. Many people encounter tigers, and some days they don't get any food from morning to night. They just remain, go empty stomach, and they walk barefoot through stones, through mountains, whatnot. So one day this Swami did not get any food from morning to late afternoon, and he kind of became a disappointed with God, and he prayed. Not only prayed, he challenged Holy Mother, Holy Mother Sarada Devi, who is said to be taking care of our food. So he said, today, if you don't provide me sumptuous meal, then I will be sure that you really don't exist. It is just, you don't exist. It is just a illusion of mind that you really listen prayers of your devotees. All these things are false if I don't get a sumptuous meal. And this is, remember, this is a very obscure place and nondescript place. There was nobody around, nothing was there. And then he went to take a dip at the river. He has not taken the dip, the bath, till morning. When he went and came in, he saw 3 or 4 people standing there with lot of foods, sumptuous foods. So he was taken aback. He asked, these foods for whom? They said, we are looking for a monk to feed, because we have a very good happy occasions in our family, and we thought today we shall feed a monk, a begging monk, and we are looking for someone, but today we did not find anybody. So would you mind if we offer you the foods? Then the Swami said, what can I tell? Yeah, tears started rolling down my cheeks, that I challenged Holy Mother, and Holy Mother provided me really sumptuous meals. Not only that, they were hot. Why? Because they were carrying in hot case, which is not so common on those remote areas. So the Swami was overwhelmed, and he said, this is how those who rely on God really takes care of them. So it happens in all of our life. If we are just sensitive enough, we can find it, that how really mysteriously many things that we need are provided by God. So summary of this aphorism is 4 qualities, 4 practices Narada is speaking about. One is solitude. Why? For spending time with God, to have intimacy with God, to be alone with God, to have a cozy, intimate relationship with God. That is solitude, vivikta sevanam. Second, uproot attachment, so that mind can be given to God as much as possible without distraction to other things, without being engaged with unnecessary things. That is lokabandham unmulanam, uproot attachment. Third, go beyond the gunas. So transcend the moods. Don't depend on your moods. Go beyond our moods to connect with God. Nistri gunno, go beyond the moods. Then yoga shema tyagam, give up efforts to acquire and preserve. That is making more time available, more energy available for spiritual practices. Okay, so that if we go on acquiring unnecessary things, we will be spending time and energy in them and also in maintenance of them. So don't do that. So one is try to spend some time, even every day, even a few moments alone with God. Then try to give your mind to God without distraction, without depending on your moods, and having more quality time available for your spiritual practices. So four practices we get here. In Aphorism 46, we got 3 practices: keeping away from the company of people or things which take me away from my spiritual ideal, keeping holy company, community, and third one was giving up egoistic identity, trying to establish our identity with relation to God. So we get 7 practices. In next 2 aphorisms, we will see more 5 practices. So that, and those who can do this, they can become really free. They can really go beyond the bondage of Maya. We shall see that. I can take questions now if anybody has. I believe we are all oscillating within three gunas. As you go older, maybe we are. Then Rajesh, please elaborate on this more. Yes, we are all oscillating between the gunas. There is no doubt about that. Different gunas are influencing our moods, but the thing is not to be being influenced them by. How? As we said, Narada said that no matter what your mood is, try to be spot on your spiritual practices. That is how you can transcend your moods. Questions. Does this mean those who can afford to should retire from active work and spend full time in spiritual practices? Of course, those who can, of course they do. The point is, it is not so easy thing. Not so easy thing, it requires practice. If one has not practiced regularly, whatever, small time, limited amount of time, consistently over many years, it is not possible to suddenly devote all their time to spiritual practices. It is not possible. That is why in our monastic order, it is always said that if you are, many of our monks very often go for intense spiritual practices. That is, go away from everywhere, go to Himalayas and stay alone. So that is encouraged in our monastic order, but they say before going for that, you increase your daily spiritual practices. So if you are meditating 2 hours a day, practice 3 hours, 4 hours, because otherwise when you go there and you will see you have all the time, but you have not practiced yourself to utilize those times. Okay, so it requires practice before we can really utilize all the time for spiritual pursuit. Any other question? I'm happy to take. Has Narada already spoken of faith? I can't recall. Faith will be spoken of later on. Okay.